All right, y'all. We're back with another video. We're back with another reaction. We're here with another Dominique Darius podcast episode, Beyond the Jersey. Legendary NFL journey. Donovan Darius was our father. On his 10 years in the league, leadership and life after football. I didn't even know her father was an NFL player. I mean, looked like he got the football physique from what I'm seeing. In the last vlog, he's a golfer. She mentioned that he was a football player in the vlog, but on that basketball court,
the anointing, and it's a gift
he was about a smooth 56 overall with no badges. He did hit the green release, but after that,
and it's a
he was
call.
over with. But he's a football player. That basketball not even really his main sport.
And I think that
But anyway, let's get into it.
you've been called for what it is that you're doing, and you've been anointed, meaning you've been given, the necessary things you need to do what you've been called to do.
Beyond the Jersey, Donovan Darius,
What's up,
episode 10.
everybody? Welcome to Beyond the Jersey, another episode. And today, it's a different kind of dynamic because I have my dad on.
What?
So I want to welcome my dad onto the podcast.
Look just like her father.
Welcome,
Boy.
Dad.
Welcome, baby. Thank you.
Also known as Donovan Darius, Double D. Probably some other names I don't know that people called you, but just want to say thank you for coming on. I think it's quick little backstory on like how I told him about how he's gonna be on the episode. It's actually supposed to be a surprise. It was supposed to be a surprise. So my dad flew in to see me for a few days, or actually like a week. We have a few games. And he just came to just spend some time. We had senior night a few days ago. And he just wanted to spend some time with me. And I think before he came, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, telling her about, had a few interviews, and my mom was like, why don't you interview your dad? I was like, nah. I was like, nah. I was like, no, but I was like, yeah, that'd be a good idea. But she like surprised him with it. I was like, okay. So I was going to wait till you were sitting in the chair, like
What chair?
this chair right here, like, oh, like just like let them do like the fitting and make sure it looks right. So so the guest, when the guest comes.
I
but
thought
I was like,
I was gonna be a prop.
Yeah, prop. But I was like, let me not do that. Let me give him a heads up so he can look, get his nice fit on and
Yeah, you can't just have him looking any kind of way. This is episode.
feeling good or whatever. But
You
obviously
know,
excited to have you on. I think it's gonna be a fun episode.
Well,
so
thank you, baby. I'm like I said, I'm honored. I mean, for the most part, we've always done things for our children, and then for you now to be a grown young lady and to do this, and thank you for allowing me, to enter your space.
For sure. I know, guys, he's very excited. He's like jumping up and down the side. But anyways.
This is my baby, yeah.
Okay. So I always start with accolades. So I'm going to give you guys a rundown of who my dad is and still is and was in the past. So my dad played at Syracuse. He also played in the NFL for 10 years. So going through your college
played for the
career,
Jags,
you were All-American. You were big
Jacksonville
East
Jaguars.
Defensive Player of the Year. You were
I
named
did my research on this. He said her father was in the NFL. I'm like, I got to Google him.
All-Century team.
Who was her father? 'Cause I know he wasn't in the league like a Ray Lewis.
In
I was
1999.
about to say.
You were the first round.
Man, he had some good stats though.
25th pick in the 1998 NFL draft.
Went top 5.
All rookie team. You were the only defensive player to be franchise tagged 3 times, which is extremely impressive. And you're also elected player rep vice president of the NFLPA. You were team captain on every team you played on throughout your 10-year career, and you received a Sports Emmy Award winner for training and performance company. How do you?
You know what I'm saying? Because I Googled him. I'm like, I know he not like, I don't know, somebody crazy like the real Revis or something. I'm like, no way.
From your daughter.
It's humble.
Like, no way. I know her father was that crazy. But he has some good accolades though.
A lot of that stuff was accomplished before you even came.
Before I was even born.
Before you was born,
Right.
or right when you're born, and so you don't get a chance to see it, because that was always something I always wish you. I realized as you guys got older that you guys didn't see me during when I'm playing, so you have no idea. You may see the highlight video, or or somebody else telling you like, "Hey, my dad did this, that, and the other." Oh, okay. And so, but no, it's good. It's accomplishments. It's a journey. I'm grateful for it, and it brought us, brought me where I am today.
Yeah, and I really want to dive into that, and obviously we have to start from the beginning, right? So you grew up in poverty. Many people don't know that. How did your environment shape your mentality and drive to succeed at a young age?
Like you said, I mean, I grew up in Camden, New Jersey, and in Camden, New Jersey, at the time, it was rated like the number three most dangerous city in the country, and poverty level was like 80 something percent. And growing up in Camden, you don't really sometimes know that you're poor because everybody around you has the same thing or don't have some of the same thing. And when you walk out your house and you're looking around, there's not a lot of time, especially growing up in inner city, single mom who did the best that she could, raised five kids by the age of 23, and dad who went to the military, came back with some issues and whatnot. And growing up in Camden, it was one of those things where you couldn't look in your environment for your inspiration to say what I can be because all you saw a lot of times was the burned down houses or drugs or gangs or this that and the other. And so what how that shaped my mentality is I just knew from an early age that I wanted something different. I wanted to be better. You look at TV and you see people having stuff and doing things, and you're wondering, "Wow, what's that like?" And so it humbled you, but it also drove. I think a lot of times that was really driven the fire for a lot of the things that I went through and accomplished as it went on.
I know there's this one story you always talk about when you do your public speaking and things like that about when you were hungry and you opened the cabinet
Yeah.
to get some food. Can you like explain to the audience?
Oh,
like,
most
that
definitely.
story?
I mean, there were times, many times, baby, when I would come home and we was on welfare and whatnot, and I would open the refrigerator and there wasn't really anything in it. You're looking to open the freezer, there was some, ice trays, and
Went from ice trays to the NFL.
sometimes people ain't fill up the ice trays all the time, and you go in the cabinets and you don't really have a lot of stuff, and so. Yeah,
You were just dusting
a lot
cobwebs.
of time we borrow food. I mean, we go next door. Hey, can we borrow some sugar? Hey, can we get some ketchup? Uh, the first of the month comes,
That's a real OG's thing. Can I borrow some
you
sugar?
go shopping, and you go to
That's real spill.
Park and you get all the food, and like that's like one of the most that's one of like the best times of the family. Going like the first of the month, going shopping and getting all the food and filling up your house with all that stuff. But just also knowing that come middle of the month, especially with five kids, end of the month, it's just gonna go away. And so uh, the struggle, I think, in essence, a lot of times builds strength because you can sometimes, as you get older, you can learn how to be content. A lot of times, people nowadays, because they don't have any struggle and they hadn't go through stuff, when things get tough, they don't have the strength to overcome it because they're like, they always had stuff, But for us not to have but have a mom that tried to do everything she could, that basically paved the way to see, no matter how much we had each other.
So obviously sports was big for you. Obviously you had a great professional career, but what in your childhood was the moment that you knew like football was going to be a future for you, or had an idea that football could be a potential way out for you?
Well, I always tell the story growing up. We had a Pop Warner's team called the Centerville Simbas in Camden, New Jersey. I went out to go try out for the Centerville Simbas. And at the tryout, we did all the drills. And I mean, I did really well. And then they said, okay, Donovan, go over to this blue tent over there. I'm going to go sign up. So I went over there, me and my mom, we went over there. And when we got over to the tent, the lady was basically saying, as we introduced ourselves, whatever, they said, okay, that'd be $35 to sign up for the season. And all of a sudden, at that time, I'm thinking like, all right, mom, this is your time. Pull out your pocket.
Pay for the $35, but moms ain't have it.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden, my mom grabbed my hand and we walked away. And as we
Mm,
walking away, I can, I can kind of hear her start sniffing a little bit. And then we got in the car to drive away. I'm looking in the rearview mirror and I see her crying. And she was crying because as a parent, she wanted to provide the best that she could. And to know that she couldn't afford that. She couldn't give me the opportunity to go out and do something that I love and enjoy or whatever. So I always tell the story. I never got a chance to play Pop Warner
that's
football,
real.
but
That's how you know there was real passion involved.
sports was
Like you want to see your child happy. But when you can't afford it, it hurts your heart, especially,
Always a way
when
that
you're a
kept
parent
us.
that wants to see your kid smile
So
through everything that
since I
they
didn't
do.
play football, I ran track. And I started my track career started in second grade. We used to race each other before school, from this light pole to that light pole, and to be the fastest in the school. And then, as that just kind of went through high school and stuff, it just kind of went. And then when I got to high school, when it was free, that was the first time I started playing football.
Mm-hmm. So growing up in such a tough environment and not having, as many resources as maybe other kids had, how did you stay disciplined and avoid the pitfalls of being growing up in a tough environment? How did you allow yourself to get to Syracuse and then go pro? Like what did you do and how did you stay the course in Camden, New Jersey to make sure that you were that you came out the other end of it and was able to graduate and then go to college?
Well, I think number one, and this is to all, every child, whatever, man. I did the best I could at just listening to my parents. My mom. Because she had my best interest, and I was no perfect kid, and I didn't do everything right, but I knew that my mom loved me enough, and she kept us together enough. And I think our family dynamic, doing everything together, whether it was good time, bad time, whatever, that kept us, throughout the times that we had stuff and the times that we didn't. And so as I continue to get older, or even when I was younger, I knew that I wanted something different for my mom. So I always tell this, I tell this story to people that I remember I was 9 years old and my mom used to take us to church all the time. And one Sunday, we was in church and the pastor was talking about this vision and being something bigger than, and God got a plan for you and this and the other, and how God blessed us, everybody with some type of gift and talent and whatever, and to help. And so after the end of church, I went over to the pastor at the end of church where they had a line, they were praying and talking to people, and I said, "Hey, Bishop Jackson," I said, "Can you pray for me? Because when I get older, I want to help my mom." You know what I mean?
Mm.
And what I thought was going to be a single conversation just with me and him or whatever, he stopped everybody in the church and said, "Donovan wants us to pray for him." And so at that time, he prayed for me. And at the time, nothing really, I didn't hear the clouds rumble or nothing, but it was just something about a
Jesus?
moment,
Is that you?
about that moment that after that, things just started kind of coming in place. Whether it was I was running track, I started doing better here, or we had coaches. You asked me about what was helping me, throughout that line, beyond my parents. I had started having coaches that just took us, as like their kids and took us to practice and paid for us to run and do all these different things. And then I had people at school that started like really digging into me and helping me to accomplish certain things. And so I just believe that that moment really paved the way. And the reason why it paved the way is because I said, you know what, I don't want to get older and I don't want to I don't want to get rich and all that stuff just for me, but I want to help my mom and I want to help my family. And I think at the end of the day, looking back, being able to do that, I think that was a humbling experience and a reason that impacted me and powered through my parents and my teachers, and other coaches.
Yeah, so talking about how after that prayer, everything kind of started falling in place for you. At what point in your high school career did you realize that, okay, like football or track at the next level is an opportunity for me? Well, can you share that moment with us?
Yeah, so I think it was actually my junior year. So um, my first my first 2 years in high school, I was in one city, and then my last 2 years, I moved back to the city that I grew up in, and I wind up earning a spot, to start a cornerback and wide receiver. And in the first game of the year, I got an interception for 100 yards, and
Huh?
in the first game of the year, I got an interception for 100 yards.
An interception for 100 yards? Nah, that's actually insane.
And I
Because that's from one end zone to the other end zone. 100
took it
yards?
back to the house, and that started it. And so
Nah, that's
what
that's
happened
actually
was
crazy.
we had some good seniors on our team. Omar Cassidy, Ron Johnson, Lamar, Lonnie Mars, all of them. And so colleges was coming to look at them and watch their film. And when they came, they said, "Yo, who is this number 20 kid?" And so I
I ain't
remember.
gonna lie, that's the best feeling. When you when scouts come for other players, but then you catch their eye too. It's like, dang, who is that? He kind of nice. You might have to give him a full ride scholarship.
Because they came watching them. And so when I first got my first letter, that's how I knew that the next level was possible. Because my older brothers, they never went to a Division I school or anything. And so when I started getting my first letters from college, it let me know, wow, even though I haven't played football that long, I'm just 3 years into it, I can actually do this. And people actually
That's that prayer from the Lord.
think that I may be good enough to get a scholarship.
What was like your biggest culture shock when you got to Syracuse? Because going from Camden, New Jersey to Syracuse, New York, in the cold. I mean, you're used to the cold, but just being in a PWI and all those, like, what was like the first culture shock moment that you could remember?
Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, the weather, because Syracuse, I would not have been in Syracuse if it didn't have a dome. Let me be clear about that. It was very cold and there was a lot of snow, so that was number one. And so you can sled all year, basically almost 6 months out of the year on the snow. So that was number one. The next thing was the Carrier Dome. Being in the Carrier Dome, like on game day, and
I
hearing
know it used to be electric.
it only seated 55,000 people, but because it was indoors, it sounded like 85, 95,000, 100,000 people
He said
inside.
he is not playing
And
outside. It
so,
has to be a dome.
me walking out there for the first game that we had, and even though I was redshirted, we still dressed as a true freshman, and just listening to everybody and just being amazed with just like somebody could be standing right next to you, but the noise of the crowd is so loud that they can't even hear you. And so I'm looking like
Stadium
my
pulse.
eyes is wide
Gotta have
open.
an NCAA right now.
I'm like, I ain't ready for this.
It's loud in here.
My first year, I'm like, I ain't ready. I ain't ready for this. I didn't go in thinking like I'm 5-star. No, I'm like, these some grown behind men out here, and I'm just
Right?
looking and
You
so
look like, dang, that's a grown man. That's a grown
that was some
man.
amazement. And then, of course, as a
Facts.
college athlete, the next thing, student athlete, was the fact that you get to create your own schedule and your own time. Even though you're under the football schedule, it's all on you now. It's
Hmm.
you are independent. There's nobody to fall back on. No parent here, there. You're kind of grown now because you got to live out this responsibility.
Yeah. I could imagine like your little self walking out. You're like, whoa, this is so amazing.
Oh
Like,
man, I was eyes wide open.
Wow.
I was,
Look at this place.
How did you
True.
I mean, you talked about like the culture shock of like athletics, right?
Mhm.
How did you adjust to just like the new lifestyle of like being a college student and the expectations of going to class and stay on top of your work and like how did you adjust to that? How did you stay disciplined to make sure, okay, you got a scholarship to play football, right? And you keep going back to you want to take care of your family, and things like that. So how did you stay disciplined, knowing the bigger picture, the bigger goal, even in the midst of being in such a big school and known for a party school?
Yeah.
Known for
I don't
known
know
for a
about
party
that.
school.
I mean,
Known
but
for a
you know,
party
hey,
school.
you can get in a party. I met your mom at a party.
Oh, okay, let's not go there.
Whoa. Why he say he met your mom at a party like that?
You didn't have to say that.
He say, shoot, I met your mama at the party,
Mom's
girl.
gonna watch this. Why did he say that?
Hey,
Go
shit.
ahead.
LOL.
Okay,
But no,
anyways.
but to your question, yes. So I think what helped me
Back in 19 something something.
coming from a small city of Camden, New Jersey, and then going to a big, college town, and having things that I've never seen and experienced. I think just the humility of it all, and just working hard, and just controlling what I can control. Because there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. There was people that, that had been a part of some big atmospheres like that through school. And so whether it was athletics, all I knew to do is work hard, right? Just go to training, work hard, be the best I can. If it was academics, go to class, try to study, do the best that I could. Social life, get to know this new world, of people, especially coming from an inner city where majority of people was black, and then now I'm in college, and Syracuse, I'm now in the minority, and so there was a social adjustment as well, and so again, I think just being humble. And just kind of walking it out. I mean, we had fun. We tried to do the best we can. We like college students, and so
Yeah, too much fun though.
I had, yeah. I had a past, and I had some fun in that past too.
Back in my
But
day.
Don't get it
but at
twisted,
the end of the
guys.
day, it was wide open. It was a great experience, and one of the greatest things about it, especially, was to be able to have my parents come up there, and my brothers and them come up and see that, and
Yeah.
like before I started playing football, like as a starter, but more so when I became a starter. But before I was a starter, they got a chance to get introduced to this. My mom got a chance to see this, and for her, it's like my baby made it, and to see, and as a parent, just like I'm proud of you, to see your mom just like be just
It's like a full circle moment.
feeling so proud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like, wow, like you really did that,
So you
you
left a
know?
legacy at Syracuse. I mean, you were in McDonald's. You were All American honors. You made the All Century team. What do those achievements mean to you, and when you look back and reflect on them?
I'm still amazed. I'm still amazed. Like,
As you
I
should.
wasn't that guy who felt like, yeah, I made it. I wasn't that guy. Like, we didn't have 4-star, 5-star, whatever. So I don't know how I rated in the country or whatever. But I never, every time I accomplished something, like I always had a sense, there was always enough healthy doubt in me. You know what I mean? That kept driving me to work harder. You know what I mean? I asked a lot of questions so I can get some answers so I can do things better. And so for me,
Yeah, Chad, never be scared to ask questions,
just being
especially if you want to get better at
just
something.
just being hungry. I always tell people, be hungry, what I'm saying? Be hungry and humble, and be healthy. And so if you can do that as an athlete, a lot of great things gonna happen. But for me, baby, like, I didn't know anybody that did this. So I was the only one. I was paving a path, the whole way. But I didn't know everything that I was doing. But I was just walking this thing out. And I just felt like I was guided, and that there was a plan for my life. But every accomplishment I had, if you can understand, it was like I didn't feel like, not that I deserved it, but I didn't feel like, I was entitled for it either. But I felt like, what, I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I think that's healthy though, because I mean, who knows if you would have felt like, oh, you made it at Syracuse, if you would have even went on to go have such a successful career as a professional athlete. And that's kind of what we're going into now is, I mean, people know professional athletes make a lot of money, right? And so kind of talk us through what it was like going from poverty to touching life-changing money. Like, what was your first reaction and emotions that you felt when you received your first paycheck from the National Football League? Like, how did you feel, and what emotions were uprising in you?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is about, like, when I got drafted, for the team, and it was time to report on first day. Um, a lot of times athletes, they sign a contract and then they go out there, but I wasn't signed on day one. I mean, I wasn't signed on that day in the morning.
Oh wow.
But I I told my agent I don't want to miss anything, because if we was going to have a rookie workout and stuff like that, that train, kind of reporting and stuff like that, because I wanted to be part of the team, like from day one. And so so they were going back and forth with the numbers in terms of my roster, my signing bonus and whatever. And so I got to the point where I was just told him, I told my agent, I said, I don't care where we're at, tell them we're going to sign it, and I'm going in. Because I wanted to report with everybody. I wanted to run that test with everybody. And so I signed for less than I probably could have. But for me, it was important to be accountable for my team, as we kind of, got things started. I don't want to get started with everything focusing on money, right? I want the main thing to be main thing. And so, you ask about, like, how was that, how was that life-changing moment with the checks and stuff? Like that was that was huge, to know that to know that I can take care of my mom and my family, and that I can be the person to create change for them. It was like I felt like in my family, to a degree, I was the chosen one.
Right.
I was chosen for specific things for me to encounter, and this was my platform. And not only me having my brothers while I was in college, creating an atmosphere, an opportunity for them, but then now being able to play at the NFL level. That as soon as I got a chance to get signed, I already had the workings for my mom to come down to live, to have her apartment, to get her car, to basically do all those things that we want to do for our families, especially to show the appreciation, for everything they've done for. But yeah, I always have a saying: I love people and I use money, and not the other way around. And so I love people so much that I want to do everything I can to help them. And I felt that about my family and the community and all that stuff. And I use the money, and we use the money to change lives.
Right.
That's dope.
Create an
That's
experience.
amazing.
Like the fact that I got a chance to retire my mom, the fact that she got a chance to do whatever she wanted, the fact that I got a chance to just put her in the car and say, "Mom, today, I want you to, get ready and just come with me today." And me and your mom, we ride around, say, guess what, Mom? Today you get in your house. What? Yeah, I got 4 houses picked
Said, Mama, you getting your house today.
out for you.
You getting your new house today.
One you want is yours.
What?
And
I know his mama just balled up and start crying. And you gotta understand, she wanted this for her son. Like she wanted her son to be happy. Always just Pop Warner when they couldn't even afford it. Now look, I made it. England the keys. My keys at chat. Hold on. These keys. Hey, Mama, it's your new crib. You got some keys now. It's your
pictures and
house.
videos
It's
of all
your
that stuff.
house.
And see, those are the moments. Those are the things that really pay the dividends and show. You know what? All that hard work
It's worth it.
is worth it. It's worth it.
How did you also deal? I mean, there's always a great piece to that, the excitement and the gratitude from your mom. But I could imagine there's a lot of pressure that comes with being the chosen one in the family, and especially coming from poverty and coming from where you guys grew up. How did you handle the pressure of being the one that had the money, and people seeing you as someone that could just write a check and give them some money? Like how did you navigate that throughout your career?
So I think they say you're, as a professional athlete and even college, whatever, like you're at the table, and it's important as to who you put around, who sits at your table. And you want to kind of have people smarter than you at the table, or more wiser, or more experienced, or people that you trust at your table. And for me, when I got to Jacksonville, that persons was my cousin Oliver Hawkins and his wife, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, Gloria Hawkins. They were the ones that embraced me when I came to Jacksonville and when I was in college for a bowl game in Jacksonville. And then when I got drafted, they were my cousins through my grandpa. They embraced me as well. So he was a strong black man, working, taking care of his wife, his kids. I got a chance to see that. He was professional, working for Vistacon. And so I saw him in the corporate world. So he got a chance to take me different places. So I got a chance to partner up with a mentor who had my best interest, who would give me guidance, tell more, where he lived at, where he was getting his house built. I got my house built by the same people. And so what I did is I attached myself and drew to people that I knew had my best back, and people that was going to help me and support me versus just want something from me. And so whether it was my cousin Oliver, or whether it was other people that he introduced me to, that really kept me guided in an area, in a territory where I didn't know much.
Right.
I didn't know much, but I asked questions and I drew around people that did have the answers.
I think a lot of people talk about when they finally make it and able to make a lot of money and retire their family, that there can be some complacency when you get to that level. Did you ever experience any doubt when you got to the league? I mean, I know you talked about how you had some self doubt, a healthy amount of self doubt, but now that you're at the big leagues and
Right.
you made it, did you still experience doubt being, a top pick in the draft, and you retired your mom and all rookie team. Like, did you still experience self doubt even after those accolades?
Oh, most definitely. Oh, most definitely. And I think when I say it was a healthy concern of doubt, but it was also looking back at it, it was a healthy appreciation, for the blessing and the opportunity that I had, which meant this. I felt like I had each year, I needed to earn the right to be on that field.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I had a contract, even though I was a first round draft pick, I felt each year I had to earn the right during the off season, training camp, and during the season to be on that field.
Mm-hmm.
So what that did is it didn't allow me to focus on what other people was doing and how other people was doing or what they weren't doing. It had everything to do with what I'm doing, And so um, that's what I did. So where I didn't understand certain things, I worked at it. So whether it's so I got drafted by Jacksonville because we had a lot of big running backs in our league. Jerome Bettis, Eddie George, Corey Dillon, Jamal Lewis, all those guys. And I was drafted as a big safety to
Names.
come in for the
Them is real legendary
for the running
names.
game and whatnot. And me coming in, me coming into that league, it's like these are some
Jerome Bettis.
grown men. They've been doing it for a long time. And so I had in my mind, I mean, I don't know if I can do this or not, but all I knew to change that was just do one thing at a time. So what did I do? I tried to prepare. I did what I needed to do in a week. I did what I needed to do in a game. I studied film. I asked questions. I worked out. So what I was able to do, I was able to starve the doubt and I was able to pacify the doubt or I was able to overcome doubt and uncertainty by preparation. You know, but at the end of the day, you sometimes, baby, you don't know what it's going to be at the end of the day. You just gotta go out there. You got to trust the process, and you got to do it. And I would say to the day that I finished, I still felt like these dudes on the other side, they trying to embarrass me. And I got to make sure that I'm prepared enough to go out, what I mean, and what I'm saying, handle my business for my team, for myself and my team as well.
Yeah. I know like being a professional athlete comes with a lot, money, attention, fame, and things like that. For you, how did you stay focused? I mean,
Right? Whoa. Okay, we're back.
was there anything that changed when you got
I
to
don't know
professional
why I just started lagging
athletes?
like
Because I
that, but
know
we're
there's
back.
everything's accessible to you now, right? Like you want something that could be done in a second. So how did you stay disciplined and focused during even through your professional career as well?
Yeah, so a lot of it started, young, like as I mentioned earlier, mom taking us to church and, in our faith, understanding that there was a purpose to our life and having some type of guide, some guidebook, something that can help you understand your identity, what you're here for, and what you can do to build you up. I always say like the Bible is probably one of the best and the biggest motivational books because it's teaching you, about how you are, that you are a masterpiece, that there's nothing that you can't do. And if you need help and you need support, that that there's God, that the one that created you is going to help you overcome all these things. And so
Yeah, that Bible. Man, that
that was
Bible.
kind of like a guiding
Everything that you're going through in the current state of your life has already been done in the Bible.
post
Every question you have about life has already been answered in the Bible.
to help me throughout
Go to the book.
and understand
It
that
won't bite you. Go read his word.
to
There's
understand that
nothing wrong with that.
when I got into the league,
You really will learn something.
like I said, I met your mom, like my junior year in college, and then my senior year in college, we was my mom was pregnant with Simone, and I knew, guess what? It's family time. Let me finish my senior year, and have that senior year in college. And so when I came into the league in 1998, I was drafted. I had a baby. I'm saying? On the 4th of that July, I moved to Jacksonville. A little bit in July, I went to training camp right away. I got the first
Dang, so
first
you
house
played against Mike Vick,
in
Donovan McNabb, that era?
in March. I mean, I'm sorry, in October.
No
So
way.
it was like you're a
Nah,
grown
ain't
man
no
now.
way he played against
You
him.
know what I mean? You're a grown man. You're not just It's not NFL party time. Like you're a family man,
Yeah, your pops.
and you got people
Time to be pops.
counting
Ain't
on
no
you.
more going to the club, no more partying.
And so now with
None of that. Oh no, it's
with
time to be dad.
Simone being a
Dada.
newborn and Zaki, being basically 4 years, about 6 years, 5 to 6 years old, it was about taking care of the family now. And so I think that helped me. That helped me just understand my purpose, understanding that I had people that I was doing this for, and I embraced it. I mean, I really embraced it. I loved it. I love being able to be that guy to be able to take care of my family.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you had a blueprint, right, for to have a longevity career, because you played 10 years as a safety, which is very unheard of in the NFL, especially at your position. But you're also franchise
Safety though.
tag 3 times, which is history, and it's never been done for any defensive player. So when that happened, when you heard that you were franchise tagged year after year after year, did you feel like, was there a sense of respect that you felt from your organization and the teams and the coaches that, oh, y'all don't want me, y'all don't want any team to swoop me up or
Right.
throw some money at me? How did you process that when you heard those news?
So for most people don't understand, like I said, the franchise tag is basically a tag that a team will put on a player and give to one player, only one player, one time a year, that person can now go out in the market, but then they say, we're going to take you off the market and we're going to guarantee you just for 1 year. And so that's what they did. That's what they did for me. So, you know, although they're paying you the top five in your position, it's another thing because you can go out on another team and they can just pay you a major contract.
Yeah.
They pay
But
you
your
even more
team
than the contract you're on right
coming
now.
in is not paying you that contract.
Right.
They're just going to pay you 1 year. Like, why y'all want to do no long term deal? So there's a frustration that happens
Right.
when you're franchise tag. Although it does say who's a player that we can't afford to lose, there's a level of respect to that. There is another level because you understand, another side of it because you understand that in this 1 year, if I don't play as good as I'm supposed to play, or my team don't do as well, or I get hurt, then at the end of this year, my market value is really
Not done. I'm gone.
low. And
Oh, everything is
and
gone.
before they franchise tagged me, I could have went somewhere else.
Right.
And I could have been, having a long-term contract somewhere else. And so it's a humbling thing. The first time it happened, the first time it happened, of course, I was like, oh man, like what's going on? Like, let's do a long-term contract. I want to be in Jacksonville. I want to stay here. My family's here. And so I went through, that off season. I went and worked out on my own and whatnot because they were saying, Donovan, you're not this, you're not that, and you can't do this and the other. So I would have worked out on my own. So after the first year was done, I got to the last game. I was like, yeah, baby, I'm free now. Market, here we go. But then next year, February came and they marked me again. You know what I'm saying? They marked it again. They said, you know what? We're gonna franchise you. We're gonna franchise tag you again. And so I'm like,
They drive this man crazy.
I'm like, nobody,
That's crazy how
there
they
was a
did
player
him
that
like
got
that.
franchised 2 times in a row. And so I didn't know if, how it was going to work out. But then the third year after that, I was like, yo, they definitely not going to do it. Nobody ever been done it. And they did it again. They did it again. But I always say, here's the lesson in that, especially even as believers. Here's a lesson. I wanted a long-term contract to almost secure to be my security. The contract said 5 years, 5 years. It says this amount of money, it's going to be this much money. But because I got franchised and it was only 1 year guaranteed contracts, it was like God was kind of saying, you know what, I want you to trust me this year. I want you to trust me for your health, for your status, for your plan, your all that stuff. And so after 3 years, when you look back at it, the numbers would have kind of been almost exactly the same if I would have got a long-term contract. But it was
Wow.
just 1 year, 1 year
You
at a
just
time.
got the 1 year every year instead of just the full 3 years.
That made me really grow
Yeah.
in my faith because now it's like, why are you doing what you're doing? Are you doing it for a long-term contract? Now you're franchise tag.
Yeah.
Or are you doing it because this is what you do as a professional athlete to maximize yourself and take care of your family? And so, that was an honor. That was a pleasure. Because the Jaguars, basically abused it. They changed the rules, so nobody can do that anymore. You can't be franchise tag 3 years in a row. But it's amazing. Like I'm like, I'm a dude from Camden, New Jersey. Never played football hard in my life, and I'm getting franchise tag. I'm in the league. Like so, I don't know if you can understand. Like I'm, even though I accomplished a lot, it was the grace of God, and just I'm still amazed when I look at stuff like, wow, that's me.
You really did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did that. You know
What
what I
would you say
mean?
is like the proudest moment that you had in your NFL career?
The proudest moment. Wow, in my career. Yeah. Let's see. Proudest moment. Well, I would always say, well, we it was one game we went against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and and they had this running back up there, Jerome Bettis, and he was a beast, and he was big,
Brother Jerome was one of
too,
them.
6'2", 6 whatever, 250, 60 pounds,
He was one of them.
and they used to call him the bus. And this dude used to run people over, and like a school bus, he'd carry people around. And we got up there, and I just first half we played against him at Three Rivers Stadium. This dude was running all over the place, doing Heisman poses. He was doing everything.
He was that guy.
And we got to the locker room, and we were losing at the time. And I remember sitting in the locker room and just listening to all the other guys talk about how we're doing and complaining and this and the other. And then I was basically, it was like I heard something in the back of my head. So like, you know what? If you want this thing to change, it got to be you. And it was an aha moment because I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I'm only a rookie. You know what I mean? Or just my first year, or he's this big, or this, that, and the other, And then so all of a sudden, at that moment, I got up, I went in the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and I basically encouraged myself, said a couple words to myself, and went out the second half. And I remember the first play of the second half, I remember saying to myself, if it's going to change, it's going to start with me. And they ran a play, and I came downhill, and I hit him hard, knocked him to the side, knocked him back, his jersey all twisted, all that stuff. I got up, I'm pumping like, yeah. And, people don't realize, like, it took everything in me to do that. And I always tell, when we talk to you guys, whatever, or just life, man, there's going to be so many times that we go through stuff that, the challenge is so much bigger than we feel like we're able to meet, and just like that whole, it came to me like, you know what, if you want to be changed, it's going to start with you.
I'm gonna try to find the highlights. Hold
I had
on.
to look myself in the mirror. I had to say, okay, I can do this. And I did it. And I went out and I did it. And so after that game, and as our career went on, and I was at his Hall of Fame, celebration and everything, we always had a mutual respect for each other. But he didn't realize that that was a pivotal moment for me, that I had to go against, whether you call it your demons or your doubt, or you had to overcome certain things, and you had to really step up and say, you know what, guess what? There's greater things in you than you even accomplish. You're stronger than you think. You're smarter than you think. You know what I'm saying? You can do more than you believe you can if you just go forward. And so I would say that that's probably one of my most proudest moments, as a player, especially early in my first year.
Yeah. And I mean, I think too a lot when you think about a professional career, just any career, injuries play a big
He
role
was that guy. I
in
ain't gonna
that,
lie.
right? And I
He
remember
was
as
that
a
guy.
kid, what was it? What house? It was the house I grew up in. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't give it out, but in Jacksonville, and I remember you was scooting around on your little scooter.
Yes.
And I remember one time we got in trouble. I don't know what we did. We got in trouble.
Did you kick my scooter down?
No, I didn't kick your scooter down, but I remember we got in trouble, and you was like, Dom, Simone, Rachel, Zakita, and you was on your scooter, like,
right.
and we was like, oh no, Dad gonna find out. But I still have to say, like, I remember seeing, like, I mean, I was too young to understand, like, the magnitude of, like, I knew Dad was hurt, but I was like, Dad is just on a scooter. Like, he got a little cast on his leg. I don't know what's going on. But I guess now that I'm older and I understand injuries and how that can play a role in your mental and just, like, the trajectory of your career, how did you deal with injuries? And especially, you had some season-altering injuries, right? So how did you handle that? And how did you mentally, how did you
NFL,
get
man.
through
CTE out there.
what did you tell yourself when you were doing rehab and just going through the process of trying to get back on the field? Because that's ultimately what you just wanted to play football.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's interesting because the average career in the NFL is 3 years, and that just means there's a lot of guys that's playing. There's a lot of guys playing less than 3 years, and there's other guys playing longer, and you don't know what the secret sauce is exactly, to plan a long year, And so when you get hurt in your career, you think like your first thing is like, man, is this going to affect me? Am I going to recover? Am I going to be better than I was before? Am I going to be just as good enough? And so there is there is that doubt that comes in, and there's things that you got to overcome from there. But I know as I played, I fractured my hip one year. I had shoulder surgery the next, like my first year. But mentioning that time when I was on a scooter, like that game actually, I'm saying that time, I actually had fractured my ankle. So I broke my ankle and I had shoulder surgery at the same time.
Oh, so you had the scooter. You did have the sling.
Right. So I was on the scooter with one arm. Yeah. So my right arm. Listen. So my right arm, my right leg was broke, and in my right arm, you know what I'm saying, I had shoulder surgery as well. So I had the brace here and on my right arm. I
remember that.
So I had to hold the scooter across, this way.
Hey, his whole right side was broke.
It was interesting, but I did all that. I did that and had both surgeries at the same time because as an athlete, I always say, professional athlete is not a career, it's an experience. It's going to start, it's going to stop. And your job is to try to lengthen and prolong that experience as long as you can. And so when you get injured and different things like that, you want to recover as fast as you can. And you want to try to get back because they're always trying to replace you. And so my mindset, as I said, again, I had to rely on my faith. But then I also am grateful for the training staff, like the training teams that kind of just spent time and just committed to me, speaking into my life and taking, spending extra time with me, helping me rehab and this, that, and the other. There was times I had to go away when I tore my ACL and I had to spend like a month in like Birmingham, Alabama and just kind of spend time there. And so it takes a lot of commitment as an athlete. Injuries are part of it, but overcoming injuries is also a part of it as well. But that journey, is different for everybody.
Yeah, and as you transition to, retiring or deciding to retire, how was that process for you? I could imagine, your drive was to provide and to make it and to be the one to, show up on game day and be a leader. I mean, you're a captain on your team, so can you kind of talk us through like what was that transition like for you as you prepared for a life without football? You know,
it's scary. It's scary because you got to think about it. Some kids start playing football 5, 6, 7 years old, and so if you get to the league and you play, you get to the league around 22 years old. That means that's about 17 years you've been playing football. Okay, and then let's say you play 4 years or 5 years in college. That's 20 something years that somebody has always created your schedule. Every day you got up, you knew what you were going to do and why you were going to do it. Every time you went in the weight room, I'm lifting weights because it's going to help me doing this. I'm running because it's going to help me here. So everything had a purpose to it. But when you transition, when you get out of professional sports, it's tough because now you don't know what's the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
Because now you're thinking, well, nobody needs me to know how to tackle at this office, at this business, you know what I mean? So the skill sets that you worked on all your life are no longer needed. So what do you do with that? You know what I mean? Like, what do you do? How do you transition? And so one of the things that I say that typically a lot of players go through about a 3-year transition period. First year, they're still working out, trying to get on. Next year, they're still waiting for the call and working out a little less. Third year, they're like, you know what? I need to move on. I need to really move on. And so for me, I got a chance to go through some different transitional phases and through programs to help me understand and identify what is the purpose and how do you establish your passion and what is your purpose and how do you develop a plan, how do you develop a plan for that. And that was why too, it's interesting, after I transitioned about 3 years after that, I started working for the NFL as a transition coach, helping guys do exactly that, transition in and transition out, so that they didn't feel as limbo phase and as nervous as you can feel when you're coming out of something and you're like, I don't even know what to do.
Right.
No job ain't going to, there's no job going to pay me 7 figures. There's hardly any job going to pay me 6 figures just coming out of the league. So what do I do? Where do I go? And so to have people help navigate you through those processes was necessary. And that's why when I was doing that stuff, I loved it as a transition life coach. But everybody experiences that. People in the military experience that when they transition. People from college experience that. But it's tough for everybody. But having people around you really helps you when you go through it.
So would you say like you kind of found your purpose after playing with mentoring young guys in the league that are rookies, or even, you know, as you were more removed from retiring, that you helped other guys transition? Would you say that was like your newfound purpose for you? And then on a follow-up question would be, what did what was it like to talk to those guys and mentor them, and to help them, you know, navigate being an NFL, you know, pro, but then also transition into regular, you know, regular life compared to the NFL?
Well, like I said, it was always rewarding. It's always rewarding. I believe in the power of mentors because they been where you want to go, and they've crossed over some hurdles, and they're able to give you some insight or some wisdom to kind of walk with you. Even though their journey is not your journey, there's some things that you can, you know, tool on from there. So working with the rookies coming in at the rookie symposium was huge because I would have two teams in my room, and our whole job for those 3 days was to walk through what this next transition is going to look like, help building skills within them, helping them understand what are the challenges you're going to have, what are the solutions, where are the resources, like equipping them. Imagine you're going on a long trip on a journey and that you've never been on, but you got the right people putting the things in your backpack so that when you get to this point, okay, I know what to do. I
You
know
already
how
said.
to do it. And so for me, it was rewarding because there wasn't anything like that out there. You always heard of the stories of guys been in the league and then now they broke, or they in the league and, you know, now they're over here and nothing's happening. But to be a part of that, you know, that bridge for them was huge. And then so we worked with guys coming into the league, but then we also worked with the players and their wives leaving the league as well.
Yeah.
And so that's powerful because now you got this woman, you know, this wife who's been going to bat for you the whole time, and she sees this man who's very unsure now.
Yeah.
And to walk and to build him up and to build her up on how they can work together to conquer or to establish what the next steps are, that was huge. And so being that mentor and transitioning through, that was, like I said, that was some of the most rewarding things that, you know, we can have, you know, that I got a chance to experience, was reconnecting guys back to their purpose, their passion, you know, and developing a plan for the future.
Yeah, I mean, you mentored a lot of young men, and I know a lot of your prior experience from football and just life in general that you try to pass on to them. You did. What would you say is something that you try to pass on to your kids as well from your experience in your career?
Something I passed on to you guys? I want to ask you that.
Oh.
I want to ask you that.
Oh,
So we're going to, from my experience, from our experience, what is something that
not the interviewer being interviewed.
you feel being an elite athlete
The
that
interviewee interviewing the interviewer.
that you felt that you learned that I shared with you?
I would say it's not even. I would say, obviously, I think people say I'm your kid. Like when people say they're like, you're your dad's kid. Like, you know, when they see me, they see you, and they see you, they see me. But I'm not even gonna talk about athletics because I think, like, I wouldn't say it speaks for itself, because not all the time you get the genes or you get the drive from your parent. But I would say I do have that, luckily. I would more so say, like, off the field, off the court, I would say your willingness to help people is something that I saw growing up. And I remember, you had me and me and my sisters, that he had us outside a mall selling chocolate. Mind you, I'm not
Do you
saying this
remember why we were selling the chocolate?
wait, yeah. And I'm not saying this at all to brag, but we were living in a really big house. And I'm like, Dad, why are we out here selling chocolates and for $1? Like, what do we? And
We paid.
I
Why are
think
we out here selling chocolates?
I remember
But
one.
it teach
I
humbleness.
think it was to pay or to give back to, was it the church or?
Yeah, it was like homeless people. There was there was an
home.
organization that was there,
Yeah.
and so whatever the money you raised, you know, that we raised, we
gave.
made. I wanted, you know, we would go there and we would give.
But I just think that in itself, the principle of, it don't matter where you live, it don't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter what you have or don't have, you still serve. And I think that's kind of why I am the way I am today, is because you installed those characteristics in us at a young age, that we saw our professional dad, that we didn't see you as 10-year. I mean, we're your children, so but
Dad, you know what I mean? We ain't look at you like, like you an NFL player. You just dad,
now as I've
you
grown older,
know?
you made a lot of money. You had a lot of success. You were able to provide for your family, and still even then you thought about others. You wanted to mentor other people or pick up calls or help your mom or help your brothers and your sister, and I think that is what you passed on to me specifically, and something that I take a lot of pride in. And I mean that actually goes into my next question with the advocacy work that you've done with NFLPA and even the Legends community. And it's actually funny because I'm asking you a question about me. How does it feel to have a daughter that's now like the president of a player association? And how do you feel about that?
It's a full circle moment
I
again.
know, and mind you guys, I didn't know that he was the vice president of the NFLPA till like not even like a year ago. I didn't know that, and I think to find that out, it's kind of like, okay, well,
Oh, just passed
the
down.
apple doesn't far fall from the
I was
tree.
just about
The apple doesn't fall too far from the
to say
tree.
that. I mean, I'm honored, baby. I'm honored, and I'm so proud. I am so proud because as a parent, there's several different type of parents you can be, ways you can be. I never wanted to be a passive parent. I want to be a proactive parent because my mom, I seen it in my mom, and my mom used to do a lot of advocacy work, picking up people from the Salvation Army to, veterans of foreign war, and just giving clothes or whatever. So she did those things, and so we always saw that no matter what she had or didn't have, she was always trying to help somebody else. So she ingrained that, in us, and that's what we knew. And so my life of service, I got a chance to do so many things and help so many people. And so to see my daughter, to see you doing this. And it came out naturally, whether you knew I did it or not.
Yeah.
And like you're going through the process, and I'm like, yeah, baby, I did that. I did that. I did that. And you're like, oh, I didn't even realize it. And so, like you mentioned, the apple don't fall far from the tree. And I'm just so proud of you because it's I would say it's an anointing, and it's a gift, and it's a calling. And I think that you've been called for what it is that you're doing, and you've been anointed, meaning you've been given the necessary things you need to do what you've been called to do. And now all it is for you is to do it. And so my role with you, and I shared this with you before, especially as parents get older, and I mean kids get older, they just feel like there's a shift between when I'm a parent and I'm telling you what to do, and I'm a parent and now I'm supporting you.
Yeah.
And I always told you this, and you brought it up about with your professor, and I said that my mentality is that I want to earn the right every day to be in your life by adding value to you. And the more I do that, the closer that we'll get. We'll exchange, we'll exchange life, we'll exchange moments. I'll be able to support you and this, that, and the other. And so to see you, for me to be able to add value through my experiences, whether they're athletic, which I mean, you got that. Whether they're intellectual, you got that. Whether they're advocacy or activism, you got that. And then for the beauty, you got that as well.
Lord.
So,
Mom gonna say that I got my
of
beauty
course,
from her.
of course she is, but you know what? She gonna say a whole lot of stuff.
LOL.
But yes,
She gonna
baby.
watch this and be so mad.
But I'm so proud of you, baby. Like the sky is the limit. It's amazing. Like when you're doing these things, and you probably seen it this week as you're doing these things, and you guys are about to embark on one of the greatest things, for women's basketball. And I'm watching you. It's like I just want to keep equipping you and I just want to give you everything that you need so that way you can be successful. So I want to shrink the timeline and just give you the wisdom so that way you're flowing out. I want to remove the stress and just give you the production, the production and let the execution. But you got to walk out your journey. And I'm so proud of how you're doing it. And as I always mention, baby, like God has so many great plans for you, and you're accomplishing those things one step at a time, baby. And so the sky, they say the sky ain't even a limit, man. It's just unlimited for you.
I appreciate that. You can
Facts.
maybe shed a tear.
Little, a little tear.
As we wrap up your interview, I want to ask you some fun questions about your career, about me, just some fun questions. So, If there was one player you looked forward to playing, who was it and why?
I would say Eddie George. Eddie George was a man. He was like Zeus as a running back, man. 6'3", 6'4", 245 pounds. I look
It's just a unit.
because of the challenge. You know, because of the challenge. He was, you know, we had a lot of wars, a lot of battles. And so going against competition that really raised your bar, you know, raised your level of execution, your team really depended on you, and you went out there and you did it. Whether you won or you lost, you can look back at the film and you can say, you know what, I tried to do the best that I could. And so I would say Eddie George was definitely one. And then, as I mentioned, Jerome Bettis, you know, the other running backs. I mean, he's already running backs, man. We just clash all the day. But yeah, I really respected them. You know, still to this day, respected them the most because they brought so much out of me.
What's
He
the
brought the
biggest
best out of him.
trash talking moment you remember? Did you ever clap back?
Trash talk, man. It wasn't really trash talking. But I played against it was a wide receiver. I ain't gonna say his name. He played for this team and he was on steroids.
Dad.
Who is that? Who is that? On steroids. Hey, receiver on steroids. That's low key nasty.
And so no,
A receiver on steroids, though?
no, I'm serious. And so he had to block me one play, and he blocked me, and he
You
came in from the
lying.
outside, and he hit my
No
knees.
lawyer.
You know what I mean? And I got mad at him, you know, and I was like, man, like hit me in the
You know, I
face
gotta be nosy.
like a
I'm
man.
sorry.
Like I was like, it was like man to man. Because I'm like, you know, you doing all those roids and they ain't doing nothing for you. They ain't doing nothing for your heart. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
You know, they doing everything for your
Dad.
muscle. So I wasn't a big trash talker. Like
No,
I
that's
let
too
my act. I
recent.
say I speak. Let your actions speak so loud as you want
Could that man name be David Boston?
not to hear a word I'm saying. So I let my past
Was his name David Boston?
do the talking. But
Looking like this guy was on steroids around his time
when
here.
it came time for me
Could
to,
be David Boston.
you know, when it came time for a big hit or for me to execute, like I was excited. I would let out a sound, whatever it may be, or grunt, or just, and it was a confirmation to me that you know you
Just a growl.
doing this thing.
Yeah.
Like even
A
as I sit here
growl.
right now, I'm thinking like I can think about some of these plays and some of these hits, and you know the eyes start to come in and get into focus, and you just get in the zone. You know, good thing you ain't got no pads on, baby. You be done.
Okay. If you remember, who had the worst pregame music in the locker room?
I think I did.
Well,
And I think no. I mean, I'll play classical music.
Oh yeah, you did say that.
Yeah. So I mean, it
Dudes was
wasn't
not.
worse.
Dudes was not.
Oh yeah, in that era, what was it? 90s, 2000s. That's like, I don't know, between rap music was like NWA to 50 Cent and Eminem.
Worse.
And
No.
he's done there playing classical jazz
So
music.
okay. So I played
Keep that in the headphones.
combination of different music. So I had gospel music, you know,
Oh
and I
yeah.
had
Thank the Lord, thank the Lord, thank the Lord. Interception.
classical music, but then I also had like some punk rock music.
That's
Like it was
Oh
like
yeah, keep them in the headphones.
what was the name of the
We
group?
don't want to
It
hear
was
that. Respectfully, we don't want to hear that,
fun. We
please.
want fun. So if you look it up on YouTube, but I think it was like Andrew Clay or something like that. You know, it was like ding 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 ding, and it was the drums and the guitar. And I mean, for me, it just kind of locked. It just locked me in, and like, and I lock eyes with you, and we know it's about to be on. Yeah, it's about to be on.
Just for to get it on.
Yeah, that's a crazy mixture, Dad.
Yeah, that's a scary mixture of a NFL safety playing either classical music or rock music.
I'm not gonna lie. That's a lot.
Yeah,
If anybody on
that's
my
a
team wants
scary
to come on,
combination.
listen, you're not coming on.
It's a track.
You're
It
not coming on.
flows. It
The
flows.
gospel music I'm down with, but the jazz, no. That's just a no. Okay. Be honest. Did you ever forget a play mid game and just wing it, or coverage mid game?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, there's times
Do that all the time.
you know, there's the crowd is so loud.
Yeah, you can't hear.
Or the call didn't come in, or they got a no huddle.
Yeah.
And they lined up so fast, and you just got to wing it.
Yeah.
You just kind of look around and see what other people are doing, and you pick up fast. I mean, you pick up fast. I mean, at the end of the day, on defense, it's easier because you're just reacting to the ball.
Yeah.
On offense, I think it'd be a little different because if I'm a lineman and I'm blocking the wrong way, you know what I mean? And then, or if I'm the if I'm the running back and I'm supposed to get the ball and I go off for a pass.
Yeah.
So on defense, it wasn't that bad. You can cover it up.
Mm-hmm. If you had to switch positions and play on offense, what position would you play and how?
I'll be a wide receiver. I was a wide receiver, man. I can catch, but they say
You
defense.
got that interception back in them days, 100
The ones
yards.
who can catch.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I can catch. Hey, I can catch. So yeah, I'll be a wide receiver. You know, score some touchdowns.
Okay, last question. What's a time I did something as a kid and that made you think, "Yep, that's my child"?
Oh man. So here we are.
Oh gosh,
we're on film.
I'm scared.
And we're doing this stuff, interviewing and all this stuff. Well, Dominique.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think about what story you about to tell y'all.
No, because I just recently sent you you were showing everybody about the video. So Dominique, so when the Mac computers first came out, they had the computers and they had the camera on the front. And so we would be away at work or somewhere and come back and I'll look at my computer and there'll be this file, this video file of Dominique. And she's only 6 years old. And in the video, Dominique's talking and she's like really setting up. All right, now here's what we're gonna do.
She's built for this.
How do you make your sister mad? How do you make Simone mad?
LOL.
You know I don't mess with Zach Key because he's a good one, but I make Simone mad. And she's like, she got this narrative and you're telling this story. And, you know what I mean? You're just like, I'm like that. Look at my baby. She's narrating. She's telling a story. You know, it's like social media. Everybody, it's like reality TV at its best. But then the ones that kicked me the best was the one that you were sitting on a high chair. And then she's watching the video, and you're talking to yourself. All right, now I'm strong. I'm Dominique, and I'm strong, and this is how I get strong. And you picked up the high chair, and you put this high chair over your head, and said, "See, I got it." And then
She was picking up high chairs? Wait a minute.
you did like this. I'm strong. I'm Dominique, and I'm strong, and this is how I get strong. And you picked up the high chair, and you put this high chair over your head, and said, "See, I got it." And then you did like this, one hand. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what in the world? And you put it down, and then you narrated about it.
Also, there's another video. I went around and picked up the couch. And
I know. You said.
Yeah, that's NFL genetics.
It's a full length couch. It was a 115-inch couch, and she picked it up. And the thing about it was the camera wasn't right on you. So you went and picked it up and saw that the camera wasn't right. So you went to the camera and you turned it to more. And then you said, and you picked it up again, huh? And then you lifted up. See? One hand. Right. I'm like, but the thing was
NFL genetics. What?
Yeah, there was
nobody around. It was just you, and you had this thing going on.
Yeah, she was built for this.
I say, you've always had the knack for the camera, and here you're doing. You're vlogging every day on your, on your YouTube channel. You got the podcast. You're interviewing players. You're just creating. You're just documenting your life, and like I said, before it was even famous. Like that's what I was doing when I was playing. Yeah, I had the camera on the sideline. I had the camera in the meeting rooms. I was interviewing players. I was doing all this. So seeing you follow.
Hey, so it's just once again a full circle moment.
That's crazy.
That's my baby.
That's my child.
That's why. And I'll say this:
your full circle moment once again.
Alexis, Darius.
Dad.
And on purpose.
You did that.
Dominique,
government name.
Alexis, Darius.
Dad.
And on purpose.
You did that.
Dominique Alexa, that's daddy's. That's my last baby. You know what I'm saying? That's daddy's girl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All of my girl. But that was my last one, DAD.
Yeah.
I love you, sweetie.
I love you more.
Yeah.
So that
Dominique. Dear dad.
episode. I thought that was a great one. And I appreciate you coming on. I know you was, wait, let me just say one more last thing. So guys, I did an interview a few days ago and I meant to say this in the beginning. When I told him he was gonna do an interview yesterday, like surprise. He's like, you know what? He was like, yeah, I was gonna say, you should interview me, but I don't want to look too thirsty. I said, interview me, but I don't want to look too thirsty.
Whoa.
I said, Dad, first of all, you want to look thirsty, but I was like, no, like I was already going to ask you. He's like, okay. And he got all excited and stuff.
No, I think it's great, baby. Thank you for allowing me you know what I mean, in your house and on your platform. You know,
Appreciate you.
you're gonna do a wonderful, great and wonderful things. And so everybody remember, go ahead and subscribe and share, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff, man. And
Be the first before it get super big. You know?
lot
Hey,
of great
look,
content.
we was already here. You know what I
Yeah, we're
mean?
doing a lot
We
of
was
great
here
stuff
day
here.
one
So
before she even hit 1,000 on
no
this channel.
problem.
All right, that concludes another episode of Beyond the Jersey.
W, W, and I'm gonna like W. I mean, so almost at 1,000 on this channel. Go ahead. She about what? 104 subscribers away from 1,000. Y'all know what to do. Keep doing your thing. Probably with another maybe one or two more podcasts. You hit about 1,000. That being said, that's the end of this one. We'll go ahead and end this video off. I'm gonna fill out our brackets tonight because I don't feel like doing it tomorrow. So we go ahead and probably gonna be a late night vid. So that means it. I'm gonna get out of here. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You guys really appreciate it. See you guys in the next video, man.